Hello, everyone, and welcome to another interview on the NARSA podcast. I'm Gary Gillen, your host for today, and I'm very happy to be joined by what I think I'm allowed to now say is two of my best mates in the entire world, from Five Stars, Graeme Clark, and the one and only Arthur Numan. We are going to chat through the Five Stars journey to date, how and where it started, both lads' role in that, and where they hope to take it from this tremendous platform that the club has given us now with 55. Graeme and Arthur, thank you very much for joining us today. How are you doing? And typically this part in an interview is when I ask the person, how has COVID affected your life over the last year? I'm not going to do that for today because the poignancy of it's just happened. I'd like to start by asking how you've enjoyed the club finally getting over the line for 55, and what did you get up to for the initial weekend of celebrations?
Arthur?
Yeah, no, this is something we were all looking forward to, and yeah, it came closer and closer and closer every week. So, and everyone was excited. And yeah, talking about the COVID, I want to keep it short, but the only problem is I couldn't come over. You know, the last time I was actually in Glasgow was nearly a year ago, because I arrived last year on Friday the 13th in Glasgow, and the moment the plane landed, I said, "Arthur, are you here for the game?" I said, "Yes." The game is cancelled against Celtic. I said, "Are you kidding me on?" I said, "No." So that was exactly a year ago. So you can imagine, because normally I come over all the time, and always catching up with people, watching Rangers play, events with Five Stars. So yeah, now you have to follow it like on the television, watching games. I get a lot of messages from all the people I know in Scotland. So yeah, Sunday, I was in the house, and of course you can see the halftime score, nothing each. I said, "Oh, 60 minutes, nothing each, 75 minutes, 90 minutes. I said, "No, this cannot be true. Guys, we're going to win the league this year." And then all of a sudden, boom, my telephone was exploding, and I was also cheering. And my girls, my two daughters, they said, what's happening, Daddy? I said, "Yeah," I said, "we became champion of Scotland, 55th league title." So you can imagine it was like one big party. And yeah, something we were all looking forward to actually stop 10 in a row, but more important that we win the 55th league title. So it was like absolutely amazing, absolutely brilliant.
It was. I was on the Saturday. I watched the kind of build up, and there was videos of Stevie G knocking over policemen and everything like that. It was fantastic, and enjoying the build up and watching the game, and that was fine. And then Saturday I had a wee beer. I didn't go over the score, but I had a wee beer and I enjoyed watching all the videos inside the dressing room, and fantastic. But of course, I was thinking we might win it at Parkhead, to be honest. So anyway, the next day, the Sunday, my wife has asked me to start painting the house. So I was painting her hall, paintbrush in hand, paint all over, and I've got the game in the background and I'm listening. And it's like half time, 0-0, and I'm like, nah, surely not. And then it started going at the second half and going on and going and going. And I kind of put the paintbrush down and sat and watched counted the last 10 minutes down. And then I'm not going to lie, when that final whistle went, Arthur Newman was, I've got to say that, ain't I? He's on the call. Arthur Newman was opened, and it was party time, and I stay in Lark Hall, so I just sat looking at the back window watching fireworks. My wife doesn't understand it, but she joined me anyway because there was gin involved. So it was a fantastic weekend and a long time coming, and it was quite emotional. Yeah. For a long time.
Yeah.
So it was tremendous.
Yeah, that's terrific. That's terrific. Yeah, so what we're going to do for today's interview is just go into a wee bit of the history of Five Stars and who does what and those sorts of things. So if it's okay with you guys, we'll just jump straight in to the main meat of it. So Graeme, I'm going to pose this one to you first and foremost, if you don't mind. Can you give us a little bit of a history of Five Stars for our listeners, just in terms of how it was conceived, you know, from what other experiences that you had, and where it's what the journey has looked like to date, you know, when it was formed, why it was formed, who formed it, you know, what the original intent was.
I'll not bore you with the kind of stuff preceding Five Stars, but the long short is I kind of Forrest Gumped into events a few years ago and started doing a variety of different things, fitness events and bodybuilding events and different shows, and then we started going into dinners and started working at football, and it was all great. and you start working with your heroes and legends and having a lot of fun, making money for charity, making money yourself, having some great nights. And I think that's what hooked me, was getting to work with these legends, these people that I've grown up, that Ibrox watching, that you would actually give your right hand to chat to, and then next minute you're working with them. That was my drive, and everything else came secondary to that. But the events was fine. They were fine. We were doing dinners and stuff like that, and I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 a year. And I went on a night out in Edinburgh to go to a Robbie Fowler. I love Robbie Fowler, brilliant. If you've not seen him, I thoroughly recommend it. We went to a Robbie Fowler night, but I knew the guy that was running it. And after the show, we kind of went kind of backstage to this wee pub. It was a pub in Edinburgh. So the show was up the stairs. We went down the stairs, got a wee booth, and we sitting at the blether. And I remember Robbie Fowler said to me that he was involved in that business, and it was going round with all the Liverpool legends all around the UK. And him saying to me, you know, there really should be a Rangers one. You know, for his experience all around the world, wherever he went, there's always Rangers fans. He says it's something, and it planted a seed. And then, Arthur, do you remember this? I think it's Lorenzo gave me your number, and we had a coffee in the Hilton, myself, you, and...
That's right. But that was after one event we did already together with Mikey Mols. I think it was in a walkabout in Glasgow in the city centre.
Yeah.
Then you said, can I have a coffee with you, because I want to discuss something.
I want to discuss an idea.
I still remember it, yeah.
Aye. And I think Arthur kind of... So I pitched the idea. I think Arthur just kind of looked at me and went, "I no bother." Whatever you say, Chief. Because it never really... It sat for... I think it sat for about a year before we started it, Arthur. For one reason or another, I think everyone was kind of busy. And but then after bouncing the idea back and forth with Arthur, and then Kris got involved, we just started putting fun plans into place. And the whole idea, I suppose, from taking inspiration for the Liverpool model, was to bring over legends and former players that potentially didn't come over as much, or there was maybe a logistical issue or a financial issue that they weren't over very often, and doing it in such a way where these legends that were maybe unattainable before were actually rocking up into the hometown of Rangers fans, where they can go and see it at affordable prices. The players were looked after, and Arthur, I'm sure you'll come in and talk about this in 2 minutes. So the players were looked after properly. The events were done properly. The content was good. People got to meet them. They got their photo. They got to hear good content. They had a good night. But, and this is no disrespect to other events at all. Listen, there's pros and cons to every event that you go to, but I think other events, Arthur will be able to kind of come in, and other events that you go to, maybe players were just maybe getting pawed or dragged about, or, you know, it was quite rowdy. They were getting videoed, and that video footage was getting released and getting them into ball. There was just quite a lot of people in their eagerness to see these players and do these nights, that it was just a bit of a stramash. So we wanted to just professionalise it up, protect the players a little bit, which I think we've been successful doing. It attracts more players because they know they're going to be looked after. Did you say that was the case, Arthur?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think, but that is just what you mentioned, Graeme. That's important, because in the beginning, what you just said, it took maybe 1 year before we had a coffee and we were discussing it. But you get approached by so many people, and you don't know who you can trust. You don't know actually what you can expect. And I only want to be involved with the company that you know the people, that you actually trust them as well. And eventually, when we discussed this kind of stuff with 5 stars, that you think, maybe we can organize some events with Q&As. Maybe we have some other ideas that we can travel maybe abroad to go to maybe Canada, to Australia, to America, whatever, and catch up with the Rangers supporters. But I think the most important is that the players, when they come over, that they're looked after as well. Because the moment when they arrive, we pick them up from the airport. We make sure that everything is arranged in the hotel. If they want to go somewhere, we are always there to help them. And also with the events, it's important that you make the people happy. you know, that you're there, because they come there to see you, to listen to your stories. So you want to make sure that they have a great evening. And also, yeah, I think that's very important what Graeme said earlier on with the videos in the beginning. When I went to events, yeah, the people were recording stuff, but you know yourself, you have to be then so careful with what you say, because sometimes it can be for fun, it can be a joke, but if people record it and they put it on internet, yeah, you know yourself, within a minute, whoop, it goes out, and before you know, you get a bad reputation. So also
I never understood that part, and I think I never understood that part. As a fan, if you go to an event, you're a Rangers supporter, and you go to an event and there's a legend on the stage and they're chatting, and you're 2 minutes of fame Benevolent to show you were there. But the damage it can do to the player, the damage it can do to the club, I never understood that. And also when you're recording, this is quite funny. This is a this is a bone of contention between me and my wife when we go to music concerts. It's like she'll record it. I'm like, you're missing the concert, filming it. Put it away and enjoy it. Soak it in. Yeah. So I always felt that, you know, fans that would maybe record, it's like you're not enjoying and savouring what the speaker's saying, because you're too busy catching the right angle or turning around and getting a selfie in it. So I don't know. It was just to kind of protect the guys and professionalise it up and see if we can make a run at it and see if it would be popular. And I'm very, very glad to say that it is, and it's taken off. And now we're actually getting players approaching us and wanting to work with us, and it's growing and growing and growing. And we've got a lot of big plans. Arthur and Kris are both. I love working with both of them, and I'm not just saying that because Kris isn't even here. So I'm not saying that. I love working with both Arthur and Kris because they're very driven and very shrewd, and I think that's a testament to maybe where they got in their own careers when they were players. And they know what they want and they want to go after it. And that environment is where I thrive. You know, when you've got people pushing you, and you're pushing them. You know what I mean? So, no, it's been really, really good, and it's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of different places, and listen, we're only scratching the surface. To be honest, we've got a lot of good ideas of where we can take this and how it can evolve. And myself personally, I'm really looking forward to taking up a gear what we can deliver to the fans, experience-wise.
Yeah,
that's what it's just now.
And we'll get to that in a wee bit there, but just to mention, and obviously Kris couldn't make the interview today, but thanks again for both of you guys for giving us the time today. But what is the overall structure of the organisation? Because we know it as my main conduit, of course, is you, Graeme, but you know, we you know, the public face of it is very heavily weighted with Arthur and Kris. Is that the leadership team of 5 Stars, you know, and there's some supplemental, you know, organisational resources that help keep the machine going?
You've got myself, Arthur, and Kris that drive it and innovate it. We have a staff. We're actually just moving into new offices in Glasgow on Monday coming. So we have full-time staff, we've got 2 full-time staff, and probably going to recruit another couple moving forward because the workload attached to what we're doing is just increasing all the time. But yeah, regarding the structure, it really is split evenly. I wouldn't like to say anyone does more than anyone else or anyone does less. I mean, myself, Kris, and Arthur speak daily. Arthur sees my name coming up on his phone and he just tries to run away from it. But it is daily. I mean, even with Arthur's trapped with the pandemic, he's trapped in Holland now with the Scottish business, but he still contributes 100% in the sense of, like, there's different contractors and things that we've used through Arthur's network, his connections. Arthur lived here for a long period, so you know, he knows a lot of people, and so it still is actively involved as he would have been if he was flying over and not. And Kris is the same. I mean, it really is a 3-way split, to be honest. And I think any decision, like small decisions, I trust Kris and Arthur to make on the spot, and they trust me. But any larger decisions is always a quick phone call. Kris Boyd's favourite 3-way phone call, which I can't do. I just can't do it. I just physically can't do it. I keep adding people and phoning.
Too busy.
phoning my old man, and he's coming in. I'm like, oh wait a minute, I phoned the wrong person here. Chris can do it, and we do 3. So it's pretty constant, though, isn't it, Arthur?
Yeah,
Daily.
but what you just mentioned, because to be honest, Graeme is working his socks off, and I have a lot of respect for him. And it's very frustrating what he mentioned there, because I'm stuck in Holland. And what I said the last time I was over in Glasgow was a year ago, and it's very frustrating because, yeah, we are so busy lately, the last couple of months, that you want to help, you want to be there with the bottles, with the events, and all the other things that we actually try to planning to do in the next couple of months. And yeah, I'm sitting here in the house and I try to do my part, but it's frustrating because if you know what's happening in Glasgow with 5 stars, with the bottles, it's a lot of work. Yeah, and Graeme is working his socks off, to be honest. And sometimes, yeah, we joke about it, but to be honest, yeah, it's a lot of work what he has to do. And for me, it's like frustrating because, yeah, I cannot fly. It is. Yeah, it is something what you don't have under control, because for my work, I'm a scout as well, and normally I fly 2-3 times a month to other countries, and I'm always busy. And now I'm stuck in the house, and I see what's happening there in the office. Yeah, we have contact all the time, but to be honest, it is going in the right direction. And what Graeme mentioned, yeah, we have the office, we have people now working for us as well, so that helps us a lot. And because, yeah, the company is growing and growing, and it's becoming bigger and more popular. And what I said, hopefully in the summertime, when everything slowly picking up, that we can start organizing events and yeah, getting involved with a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So today, as we record this today on March the 10th, 2021, who are the existing stable, I'm going to use the word stable, I hope that's okay to use that, of players, ex-players, ex-VIP legends that are part of the formal stable for 5 stars right now?
It's kind of all of them, I think. No, the way we kind of structured it is there's a lot of them that are active with us, if that makes sense. Like they're on the circuit for speaker events, or they're doing the memorabilia, or they're involved with the app, or they're involved with video messages and stuff. And there's maybe a selection of the players that are passive, but we kind of help look after their interests, if that makes sense. So there is quite a large, broad selection, isn't it? I mean, I know looking at it, I was looking at trying to write a list down, but it's quite complex because you can say this is a list of players, but not all of them will do tours, not all of them will do video messages. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but there's quite a few of them, isn't it, Arthur? I mean, you're talking about all your period and all Chris's period.
Yeah, no, that's right. If we talk about players, because that's a good thing. I have my network with former players, especially the ones you played together with back in those days. And then, yeah, when you call them, they know that they can trust you, and that they're looked after. And for example, we have like Lorenzo Amoruso, like George Alberts. They are brilliant to work with. They also love to come over, and to be honest, they are also like defense favorites, that kind of players. Yeah, and they want to listen to their stories when we do the Q&As, and they always make time for the supporters, and that's what the people want to see, and also that we can rely on them. And we try to approach more, but you know yourself, a lot of them, they're still involved with the football club as a coach, director, or whatever. So it is sometimes difficult to organize something because they say, yeah, sorry, I can't make it because we are away in a training camp. For example, other players, they're like pundits on television, and they're really busy because they have a program for the next couple of weeks. And yeah, you always try to plan something with those players or managers that they feel comfortable to come over, because it's not possible that they say 3 days before, sorry, I can't make it, I have another appointment, because that is the last thing what you want. So you need to rely on players and managers, and they know that that we're professional, and that everything is well organized. And I think that's the most important, the trust.
Yeah, and I think we've got our original kind of guys we worked with at the beginning, and that's grown and grown and grown. And then recently, you had Walter Smith and Barry Ferguson and Peter Livingston and Craig Moore and all these guys. And it's kind of like the more players that approach us to work with us, absolutely 100%. That's what it's all about. And I think not just with Five Stars, with Rangers Football Club as well, we're almost bringing it back in house, back together again, like all looking after one another, and back to the club. And I think that, I'm not saying it's been missing, but I think that it's something we've been able to facilitate and look at, and it's growing and growing and growing. I think if you're working with the guys, after, I get the impression that all the guys love catching up with each other again. You know what I mean? And they love being in each other's company, and they share great, fantastic times. Absolutely, and the Rangers Football Club's a special institution with all of them. So if you can bring them all back together, look after them, make sure they're okay, and we're now in a very fortunate position where we can help the club as well. I mean, that's a dream come true for any Rangers fan. You know what I mean? It's fantastic.
It's what you say. It's like a reunion, because every time when you see each other, we're always having a laugh. Talk about the time when we were playing, all the fun we had in the dressing room. Also when we went away in training camp, and sometimes you speak to ex-players you haven't seen for a couple of years, but it feels like you saw them yesterday for the last time, and that makes it different. And all the players I know and I played with, especially the foreigners, they all loved their time in Glasgow, and everybody's still positive about the club, about the time when I played for Rangers, the life in Scotland as well. It's something special, because before I came to Scotland, I never thought in a million years that I actually would enjoy it so much, because I had something in my mind. I go to Scotland, I don't know what to expect. To be honest, I didn't know the club, I didn't know the people, but you only realize it when you arrive there. Whoop, you're in the park, you look around you, you see the 50,000 people there. The commitment from the fans to the club is unbelievable. I keep telling it in Holland, here is like Mickey Mouse compared with Scotland. Although we have big clubs like PSV, like Ajax, like Feyenoord, but in Scotland, the rivalry between Rangers and Celtic in one city is unbelievable. And the fans, the Rangers fans are, incredible. And that makes it so special. And that's why they love to come back to Scotland, and then, with events and catching up with each other. And that makes it really special. It is,
and I've been in a fortunate position. The events are great. They're fantastic, love them. Can't get enough of them. We do them every night, but occasionally, not very often, but just occasionally, you sometimes get to pinch yourself. I don't know if you remember this, after we sat, and it was at the Doubletree Hilton. I can't remember what weekend, I can't remember what we were doing or what was going on. But we sat in one of the booths at the Doubletree, and it was Lorenzo Amoruso, George Alberts, Arthur Numan, and myself in this wee booth. And they just started bantering, storytelling, all amongst each other, for nobody other's benefit for themselves, just having a laugh. And see, to just be able to sit and listen to the three of them talk. I mean, I found out more about the three of them in 10 minutes at a coffee at the Hilton than I have in a year and a half working with them. But see to be privileged enough to hear that conversation, it was brilliant. And it's wee things like that. And Arthur's saying about how hard we all work and all the rest of it. Things like that G up. You're walking on air for a month after that, because you're privileged.
Living the dream for sure. And I think Arthur probably answered most of it a wee bit earlier. I was going to ask, is there a particular selection criteria that you have, not a job description or anything super formal, but you mentioned be available, be interested in doing it, be a bit of a fan's favourite, have had some success with the club, and be engaging from a public perspective. Is there any criteria that's kind of missed from there that you would say this person is naturally a good fit, or this other person is naturally not a good fit for the type and style of stuff we do? Because I think both of you alluded to it just a wee bit there. As a member of the crowd, I haven't made it to a Five Stars event because I live in Canada, but as a member of the crowd, even just seeing Arthur in Vegas when you were over there back in 2017, you can tell. I can tell standing there listening to your stories that you are having a ball, that you are enjoying yourself, that you are you feel as fortunate to be there as we do, that you're there, and then everybody just feeds off of that, and it just raises the high, to be honest.
No, but especially what you mentioned there in Las Vegas, and I keep telling people here in Holland, I said I was invited to Las Vegas with Rangers supporters. I said, there were 1,200 Rangers supporters in Planet Hollywood. no way. Where are they from? I said, yeah. I said, they come from Scotland. I said, from Canada, from America, from Australia. 1,200? Yeah, I said, for 3 days. What did you do? I said, all together there. I said, one night we were walking around, talking to all the fans, taking pictures, autographs. I said, then we had an evening, you know, with the ex-players on stage, telling some stories, having fun, singing songs. I said, and then I think the last night it was like with the director, what's his name again? I don't know, there was one night. But I said, that shows you then what it means when you played for the club, and the people here cannot understand. I said, why are the 1,200 Rangers supporters there? I said, because they love the club. I said, they're diehards. Because in Holland, it's mission impossible. It is absolutely mission impossible. And to be honest, it was absolutely a fantastic weekend we had over there. Brilliant. I really enjoyed it there.
I think there's players that, like Arthur, he is literally Hugh Jackman, the greatest showman, right? But there are maybe one or two players, and I'll no naming names, so Arthur, it's up to you if you name names. But anyway, there's one or two that don't enjoy doing the Q&As as much, right? For whatever reason, but they'll do it, but it's not the thing. You know what I mean?
Is it Jackie Chan?
That's over the line, right? So, but they'll do it or they'll not do it or whatever. But like I said, they're all up for, but the lure of catching up with old teammates and seeing the fans and doing all that always overcomes any kind of fear or reservation, or they don't really like chatting or whatever. But Arthur usually brings them at their shell anyway, whether they want to or not.
I like it. I like it. Great stuff. So, just in terms of the business side of things, from a 5-star perspective, back in September 2020, it was announced on the Rangers media channels that they have a formal partnership now in place with 5 Stars, and and I know, Graeme, I'm a wee bit privileged because I was part of some of the conversations as we were just formulating our kind of finalising our own partnership between 5 Stars and NARSA. But from the early start and the events that followed, was the goal always to have a formal, mutually exclusive and mutually beneficial relationship with the club? Or was it something, because I'm imagining, it's not in the healthiest spot, the club, when 5 Stars is created, and there's a lot of turmoil. There's, we're certainly not where we are used to being as either ex-players and now fans and the fans at large. And was that a goal at some point, or was it just an opportunity that presented itself that you thought, you never know, we might be able to do something here?
I think I'll do a quick answer on Arthur. You can come in. I think for myself, it's like, I think at the back of your head, you always kind of fantasize, I suppose, that somebody will see what you're doing and think, oh, they're quite good, we could maybe get them involved. So I think it'd be too arrogant to say, oh, it was a goal to we would do our things and Ranger would notice. I don't think I ever went in going that would happen. But as a fantasy, you're always like, this would be tremendous if I could do this for, with the club, or, all together. That would complete the package, wouldn't it? You're working with your heroes. But if you could work with your heroes and the club that you supported since you were a boy, that just ticks all the boxes. But I don't think it was when we went for that coffee in the Hilton, Arthur, I don't think I ever said, listen, see, within a year or whatever we'll be with Rangers. I don't think it was our cat. But listen, it was a lovely for me, it was a lovely development, and it's been absolutely fantastic dealing with them. And we look forward to a lot coming up. We've got a lot of plans and a lot of different things. The gin, the memorabilia, the Q&As. We're going to do a lot with Rangers. So it's been a pleasure to deal with them, and it's been an absolute. It took a long time to get over the line, but worth it. 100%. Loved it, Arthur.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and I think because also the fact that they want to work with us because they can see the potential, and also that we are like professionals. We don't take anything for granted, and that makes it even more special. What Graeme mentioned, that you can work together with the club where I've played 5 years for, and you still know some people who are working there, and it's absolutely brilliant that you can actually help them as well. We also try to raise money for charity, that kind of stuff, and it's like the combination: help different people, help the club. So what can you ask more for? It's absolutely brilliant. I played for 5 years. Kris played there; he knows the club, so absolutely brilliant. And what we discussed a year ago, I didn't expect that this was happening, and we are there, and we can only grow, and we can only make it better, and that makes it very special.
Yeah. And when did you truly know that it was looking like a reality, that there was going to be that formal partnership there? Was it, because I imagine there's cursory conversations, there's, some things you're talking about, there's a little bit of excitement in the air, but you don't truly know if it's going to work out. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there, you're signing a deal, you're all over the press.
Well, for me, it was like the longest Christmas morning ever. You know what I mean? So when you're young and you're waiting for Christmas morning to run down the stairs and open your presents, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was 8 weeks to that for me. But because you want to get over the line, you really want to get started, and you want to go for it, and it just took a while. But it was a sensational moment when we got it over the line, 100%. Arthur was on the phone. I mean, we were on the phone daily anyway, but Arthur was maybe on the phone 3 times a day then, just to figure out what was happening. But it is what it is. Like you say, there's a lot of original conversations, and then things are formulated in that. And I think when you're doing a partnership, everything's got to be done properly. You know what I mean? And all the T's crossed and the I's dotted and stuff like that. But it took a bit of time. But when did we realise it? I think it was, they announced it on the Friday. I think we signed it on the Wednesday. And of course, you want to run out and tell everybody. The second you sign it, you can't. You wait an extra 2 days, which seemed like another 2 weeks. But for me, it was amazing. But Arthur had actually signed for Rangers before in a player capacity. So old hat to you, my friend.
He would know all about it. I love that.
80 years later, I signed for Rangers again.
Yeah.
as an old man this time.
That's terrific. So in terms of partnerships that you have right now, obviously mentioned briefly, we have a partnership between NARSA and 5 Stars, which we hope to really truly grow as well. Rangers, of course. Am I right in saying Heart and Hand and 4 Lads Had a Dream as well? Is that part of the same stable, or is it more of a formal part of that too?
Yeah, we've got partnerships with Heart and Hand and partnerships with 4 Lads. Try and help each other wherever we can. And obviously partnership with NARSA. And it's all good. I think it's frustrating because with the pandemic, I think we could have done a lot more with NARSA, 4 Lads and Heart and Hand. But it's something that I think we are eagerly looking forward to getting our teeth right into once the restrictions lift right across the board. I think they're all genuine Rangers supporters groups, which makes it a joy to kind of partner with and work with and discuss, because we're all kind of supporting the same team. And Arthur, you've done a bits and bobs for both Heart and Hand and 4 Lads, haven't you?
Yeah, I think I did one interview. I think it's already a time ago, but yeah, that's what you said. It's frustrating because of the whole situation. We try to make the most of it, and but at least that kind of stuff, yeah, you can actually get some players doing the interviews, and the people can listen to their opinions, to the stories. But yeah, I'd rather actually jump on a plane, come over and sit there live there so the people can see you. Well, I like what we do at the moment,
Yeah.
with the Zoom call. But yeah, we have to wait hopefully 3-4 months, and then it's picking up, and also that we can jump on the plane and we can come over and see you live with a drink.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant. And one of the things that Arthur mentioned recently just there was some of the charitable work that's obviously connected with the partnership as well. And just in the last couple of weeks, there was the partnership signed with Colin Stewart and the former Players Benevolence Club. And I know that during the conversation about that, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot of detail in terms of what that's going to look like, but just, stay tuned for more exciting details. Is there anything that you can share with the NARSA community there in terms of what that's going to look like over the short period, or over the next wee while, I should say?
Specifically with Colin and I think they're looking for just like a little bit of content for some of the players, and obviously we're happy to donate items for raising funds for themselves, like signed shirts, signed boots, signed prints and stuff like that, whatever, tickets to shows, experiences and things like that. So I think we're just going to try and support them as best as we can. and in return they're going to try and help support us with our products and our development and what we're trying to achieve, which is great. But it's a natural fit, isn't it? Because you're looking after the older players, shall we say. And by the way, I have to highlight the amazing work that both of those organisations do. I don't think they publicise this necessarily exactly what the Benevolent Fund does, and it's not my place to do that, but they do a lot more than what people think. And so to be able to support that, both in a way of like providing entertainment and providing players and but also providing auction items and finances, and because once your events start back up again, we'll be doing charity donations to them. So we'll be able to provide both cash or items to auction, and like I said, the other side with Stephen Kerr looking after the development side. I mean, it's just another fantastic extension of being able to help such a fantastic football institution with players that are now maybe retired and getting on in years, and then young players coming through. Why would you? That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, and Arthur will not be that far away from joining that Benevolent Fund. he's not.
I'm going to swiftly move on. The one thing we did get Colin Stewart on our very first NARSA interview, actually, and he did talk through a lot of the work, protecting the privacy of the sensitive nature of some of the work that they do from a former player's perspective. I'm sure both of you guys listened to that pod intently in preparation for today. Sure, you did. Yeah, okay. So I wanted to talk briefly here about the Blues Brothers pod as well, which if you can explain just a wee bit of how that's connected with 5 Stars and how that helps facilitate the work that you're doing, or the work that you're planning to do, at least on the ground.
I think the Blues Brothers was, I think the kind of host, or I think there's 2 hosts now. There's Tom and there's Ricky. I think the host Ricky originally was looking to do a new pod, and the guys. There's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of fan media, which I think is great, right? I really do. The more, the better. But I wasn't really interested in doing I've never been really interested in doing what's already there. So myself, Arthur and Kris discussed, I said it would be a great idea. I think it was maybe Kris, actually. Sorry, I've maybe stole Chris's thunder, but he's not here. So let's just say it was me.
Yeah,
right?
It was Kris, Graeme.
We'll nick it for Kris. Now, I think Kris came up with the idea that it would be really good. The different thing would be to have actual players. Now, of course, there's a lot of things out there that exist already with players on it, but there wasn't at the time something specifically existing with former Rangers players talking everything Rangers. Yeah. That hadn't been done. So I think between Ricky wanting to do a new pod and Kris having that idea, we just amalgamated and away we went. So it's the Blues Brothers wanting to give it its own identity, but it is very much a 5 Stars pod. And it's been a great show, and in addition to Tom Miller recently has taken that in a different direction, which has been fantastic, getting players on and stuff like that. So it's an evolving animal as well. It seems to be well received. And again, when Arthur's over, I'm sure that the Blues Brothers will become 3 former players on there and the guys. But I don't know. Do you listen to it, Gary? Have you got an opinion on it, or?
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on it. I think it's great. I think it's exactly as you stated. It's very different to a whole bunch of other stuff that's out there. It's got a real, a genuine Glasgow banter feel to it, which sometimes, honestly, for me, it can become a wee bit cringeworthy if it's not done with a little bit of class and proper production. But it just comes across as very genuine, very authentic, similar in theme to some of the stuff that Arthur and the foreign boys do. It's great to hear from the core guys who grew up in it, who lived it for a period of time, and who continue to live in it as well. So it's just it strikes such a good balance of genuine authenticity and obviously meaningful content that you're going to be attracted to listening to every week.
Yeah, that's great.
I think that what you said, it makes it special if you can every week maybe have someone actually be there in the studio, give his opinion, tell some stories. Especially what you just mentioned, Gary, the foreigners, when they're over for a weekend, you can ask them to actually to join the podcast and give their opinion about the Rangers team, about Steven Gerrard, about the time when they were playing for Rangers. And that makes it special. And the podcast, what you mentioned earlier on, is so popular every year because the number of requests I also receive from people, hey, can you join us? Can you join us? It's unbelievable because that's nowadays the people that cannot go to the stadium, and at least this gives them some entertainment and listening to opinion from other players or managers.
It is worth saying, just like they're saying that, the popularity goes solely down to Ian, Derek, Ricky, and now Tom. Yeah. We can provide ideas and put things in place, but it's those get, you can come up with an idea you like, and if the guy, but it really relies, like you say, Gary, I think you hit it on the head, you get the genuine Glasgow banter, and it's like, well done, and they keep it going slick, and they don't get drawn into too much of the politics of what's going on. It's just pure football, and that's all down to them, and there should be a mention to Ricky and Ian and Derek and now Tom about how well they've done in it. I think they've done very, very well. We're really happy with it.
Yeah. But do the people, can they understand the Glaswegian accent or not when you listen to the podcast?
It's a lot easier than the Dutch.
I don't have, I show whatever I say.
Maybe we need some subtitles every now and again.
Exactly, yeah.
So in terms of the products that we have out there, I was doing a wee bit of research last night and looking at the gin products and looking at the Rangers memorabilia products. And when we put this interview out, we'll certainly put links to both of those. But the main thing that I wanted to talk about today was I noticed that there's a 55 special gin, and gin is a real theme. I know Arthur was mentioning it at the beginning of the interview as well. Why gin at that particular time? What was the theme behind that?
Yeah, Graeme is alcoholic, so he can explain.
If you want to hear the genuine story, I'll happily bore you to tears for the next 2-3 minutes, not a problem. Basically, I think Arthur knows this anyway, but I've got to be honest, Kris I'll tell the story now how it came about, but Kris really took it and then went with Arthur and both of them ran off with it, which is great. But the original idea came from when we went into, it was quite funny, it's not quite funny, when we went into lockdown, initially it hit my wife quite hard. She was like, really down about it. And I would say to her, listen, there's a lot of people that are worse off, blah, 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 blah. We could be in a bit worse position, losing a job and the rest of it. And she's like, you're right. Then 2 weeks later, I was sitting there depressed and my wife was saying to me, what about all these people? And I'm like, forget it. I'm miserable now and that's it, it's over. So, because I think it just hit me just because we had so many plans and we were doing so many different things. And I just think, events, it was only events at that time. Yeah. So I felt sorry for myself for a couple of days in the back garden because it was lovely weather in the back garden because you could go nowhere with some alcohol. And she told me to sort myself out. And we came up with an idea for an app just to put my time into. Because I think that's what it was. I didn't have anything to put my time in. So while doing the app, I finished one night and I put my laptop down and right across from me was a bottle of gin that I got Walter Smith to sign a while back. Wow. And then I just looked at it and I was just like, right, okay, what if we looked at gin? Gin's a very popular drink. I like it. My wife likes it. It's really popular. It's the in thing just now. What if we could look at doing something with players? And like I say, as soon as I said to Arthur and Kris, it was away. And they really drove it. They spoke to the players. They came up with ideas for the labels. But one thing we did do, and I've got to give everybody credit in this one, is we found a distiller, and we knew, I think, in the first 2 minutes, Arthur, that this was the right guy, because we told him the idea we had, and he right away says, look, if you're just wanting to do a bog standard gin, put a player's name in it for a gimmick, and sell have a lift, and then that's it. He says, I can recommend 100 different people. I'm not doing that. If you want to do a high quality gin that people will taste, enjoy, and repurchase, I'm your man. But that quality comes at a price. He says, so it's up to you. And I think Arthur and Kris right away were like, that's the guy we have to work with. that is the right attitude. We want to produce something quality here. And that's where that whole gin came from. Me feeling sorry for myself, and Arthur and Chris being driven. And that's it. Tell them an idea.
But you sent me a whole box with different bottles to taste it and pick the right one. So I was completely drunk in my bar here.
Worst things to do for a job, I suppose. Oh, sweetheart,
it was the right time because we were all stuck in the house. So I was here downstairs and I was trying all the gin to pick the right one, you know. And I thought, oh, because we had a list, you can imagine the Numan, the Durant in the beginning, the Amoruso, the Alberts, yeah, and we all have to pick our favorite one, and then we actually choose the right one. But we thought, hey, this is the one we Lorenzo likes, George likes, myself, Durante, and of course my daughter, she was also trying it a little bit, and she also picked the right one. So, and that's how we actually came to all the bottles. It was a brilliant.
If you want to indulge me 1 minute, there's a hilarious story about that. Right, when we were doing the tasting. I don't know why in my head, I never thought this through, right? But I thought in my head it'd be a good idea to have a Zoom call with all the guys and all these different gin samples, right? So we're sitting there, I don't know what, 9, 12 samples or something. And it wasn't just like miniatures, there was quite a bit. So it all started well. We took the first sample, we're all trying to be professional. You know, we're sipping it, we're going, oh, that's a nice body, it's very fruity. That's really nice. You can taste it.
But Graeme, I took a little bit and you took half a glass every time, eh?
Well, funnily enough, 5 drinks in, everyone's just drunk, right? And then you're trying to control it, and everyone's just mucking about, and nobody's listening, and nobody's even tasting it. It was just chaos. That was hilarious. That was a great night. And I was losing the heat.
I love that. I love that story. That's brilliant. So in terms of other products that we have, there's obviously some good gin out there in the 55 gin. The 55 gin, not specific to a player, more dedicated to the club and the achievements of the club.
Yeah, it's done. So it's in line with the club and club's branding and stuff like that. We've went along with the gold logo, but I just thought it'd be really nice to, you know, I was always a fan when I was younger of gold Schlager, and you had the gold flakes. So we thought, you know, let's try that. And again, it's a testament to everybody at Rangers that we deal with, James Bisgrove, Natalie and Alison and all the guys we deal with over there. And it's such a good relationship that you can bounce ideas like that, and they're always open to discussion and stuff like that. And they're very innovative, they're hardworking, and they come up with some fantastic ideas themselves. So it's a really positive relationship there. So when it came to looking at all the products for 55, we were like, well, look, we've got to do a Champions gin, and how do we make it special? How do we make it stand out? So it's a quality London dry, but again, we've put the edible flakes through it.
Yeah.
The gold 23 carat, I think they are edible flakes. So I just like that. To be honest, there's another exclusive that came from my lovely Goldschlager. I should just stop talking. I'm going to sound like I've got an alcohol problem here, but nah, it worked out well. So I was really proud of that one. It's doing well as well.
And especially it's like a keepsake, you know. When I heard people, they all want to order it because they said this is something what we actually want to put somewhere in the living room or in another room. Even in 10, 20 or 30 years time, they still remember that day. What happened 55? It's like a keepsake, you know. People want to have it and wanted to give it a special place in the house. And yeah, because Steven Gerrard and the team, they wrote history, 55th league title, top 10 in a row, and yeah, that is something what people want. And also the collection with all the other bottles. It is nice. Of course, the gin is lovely, but also the bottles, they look really nice. Now, when you see all the pictures on it, we have the signed ones as well. And yeah, and the 55, that is a special one, what Graeme said, with the gold inside, the nice box, it looks fantastic. So it is really quality stuff. So, and that's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the main thing from my early dealings. The next topic I wanted to get onto selfishly here for a wee second was NARSA. And my introduction to 5 Stars was hearing about it on the daily update on Heart and Hand, and just, you know, give these guys a follow. They're on Twitter, that kind of thing. And then as we were planning, I think it was at the time for the 2020 convention, which was obviously cancelled, as was the 2021 one for San Francisco in 2020. reached out to the email address and said, look, we're doing a kind of sponsorship package here. Would you guys like to get involved? Not 100% sure what your product set is and that. And then when we eventually got in touch, Graeme got back and said, why don't we do something better than that? Why don't we create a partnership and, you know, and try and build something big together? And from the very first moment, from the very first conversation, live and on the phone, I just sensed that level of quality, you know, of we're not just slapdashing a bunch of stuff together. I think that's exactly what you were saying or reinforcing there, Arthur, was, you know, everything that we're going to do, every single bit of merchandise that you can get, every single event that you go and see, every single production that's put on, there's going to be a level of quality there, and quality breeds quality and success breeds success, and you know, moving on and moving up and up in the standards for everyone involved, which is great. You know, we've been stalled in our efforts a wee bit, obviously, from a NARSA perspective, to truly get a grip on making this a viable part of the 5 Stars, you know, suite of products and stuff like that. But with 2022 coming up, 150th year, we'll be celebrating 2 in a row at that point. You know, is there any pre-thoughts that you have right now as we sit here about, what would that be, 14 months away or so in terms of what we can do?
I think firstly, and Arthur, I'll back me up here, I remember getting off the phone to you, Gary, and phoning Kris and Arthur and saying, oh, just had Gary from NARSA on the phone, I think we're going to do something with them, and both of them were like, wow, that's brilliant, fantastic. I think you both were fair chuffed with that, weren't you? I know, Kris.
Straight away.
Aye, they were like, oh, we can't believe it. How's that came about? Like, genuinely, I've just got off the phone. So that's a testament to NARSA in itself. You know what I mean? But say, 14 months, I've got a lot of ideas, whether we bring them on here or not, but I've got a lot of ideas with myself and Arthur and Kris. We've all spoke about different things we can do, but at that time, the 150th anniversary of the club, it's got to be spectacular. Go big or go home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what we'll look to do. And we'll make it work.
Yeah.
We'll make it work, even if it's fueled by gin or whatever.
Don't tell them. Keep it a secret. We have to surprise them.
But we'll I think we've got to go for that. I think, you know, that particular time of the year, it'll be the first thing we really, first physical thing 5 Stars and NARSA can engage in. Yes. So it's got to be go big or go home. So we'll make it work by hook or by crook. Yeah. We'll have a ball. And that goes back to what we said at the very, very beginning. That's why we do these things. It's fun. You know what I mean? Trying our very best to bring something different to NARSA. And with Arthur Numan leading the way, we'll probably involve singing.
I can't see it being anything other than a laugh. You know, the one thing that I'm personally looking forward to is, you know, we're all volunteers here at NARSA, and everybody who puts on the convention spends an inordinate amount of time on these events. And some people are very good at it. Some people are doing the best, and sometimes we hit a sweet spot and sometimes we don't. And it will be good even just to use your expertise to come over and even Arthur, who's been you know, at one or a couple of them already, you know, to be able to say, well, listen, see, when you do that, maybe you want to think about this, and just get, you know, help us with a little bit more of the polish that we can add to the fabric of the preparations. That would be great from our perspective as well.
Yeah, because what you mentioned earlier on, that Las Vegas, you know, was great. When I was there, Nacionovo, I think Mikey Moles, to all the ones as well. But also just before the outbreak from the Corona, I went to Melbourne, and there was also a fantastic experience. You know, the people, they looked after us, the moment when we arrived until the moment when we left. And yeah, it is something special. You know, it is only for a couple of days, but at least, yeah, you're there in an environment with all the Rangers people around you. Everyone is raving. They're all looking forward to catch up with the former players. Yeah, for me, it's like, yeah, why am I so special? You know, yeah. Because in Holland, they look at you. Who do you think you are? And with the Rangers supporters, completely the opposite. They never forget that you played for the club, that you won trophies. You know that. Yeah, it is. Every time when I go somewhere and you see all the Rangers supporters, that makes it special. And yeah, what Graeme said earlier on, hopefully next year when we can come over, it will be a fantastic event for the supporters, and we want to make sure that the people have a fantastic time. That is always our aim.
Definitely, I'm sure we will. So just almost to get to the wrap-up point here, I know that we've been going hard at it here for almost an hour, I think. So we've got what I like to call the quick fire round. And I'm going to ask a quick fire question. The very first thing that comes to your mind, please answer it like that. The first one is going to be a little bit double-barreled, where Arthur gets a question and Graeme gets a similar question. The rest of them is the same question for both. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Arthur. Your favourite Rangers player that you played with?
Yeah, I get that question quite often, but I cannot actually pick out one. And you know why? Because when I came to Scotland in '98, I walked into the dressing room. We had so many different nationalities. Of course, you had the Scottish players, but also different nationalities. And what made it so special, every player, they had their own quality. You had Albers fucking with his left foot, boom. You had the Italian stallion, Amoruso. We had up front, we had Rodney Wallace, we had Mikey Mols. Barry Ferguson, who actually came through the youth system and then became the captain, a very important player for the team. So every player had their own quality, and that made it so special to have such a squad of players. So I cannot actually pick out one player, because I said it was like the commitment we had in the dressing room, and that made it so very special.
Okay, well, that's a bad start, because you're supposed to actually answer the question. But okay, we'll move on. So, Graeme, your favourite Rangers player that you've seen live?
Right, and you're wanting this quick fire, aren't you? So I would say Scottish, Coisty, and foreign, obviously after Arthur. I'm going to combine it.
Laudrup.
As Alberts. There you go. That's I can't pick between the three.
Perfect. Okay, great. Well, you have the floor, Graeme. The last film you watched?
Oh, God almighty, I don't know. Villains.
Arthur, last film you watched?
The Shawshank Redemption.
That was the last film you watched?
That was on television 3 weeks ago. I've watched it already 5 times, but great one.
Oh, nice, excellent. What book are you currently reading?
I reread it all the time. It's a constant. The Secret.
The Secret, really?
I reread it all the time.
Nice.
All the time. It works.
I'm not a reader. I can't concentrate in reading a book. It's terrible. I think the last book I read was when I was 12 years old.
Really?
I can't concentrate. Even when I'm on a plane, when I went actually to Vegas or to Melbourne, I had a book with me, not one page.
You know, that's the same.
I'm more into the music, the old stuff. I like to listen to the music the whole day.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to get to music in a wee second. That's very similar. I'm just going to give my dad a bit of a plug here. He is not a reader either. And every time I talk about reading, he proudly says it was 1947 or something was the last book that he read.
That's the only one.
Moby Dick. And I'm like, okay, if you like. So
I think we need to involve you in this as well, Gary. So last film and last book you watched, last film you watched, last book you read. Go.
Well, the book I'm reading right now is A Promised Land by Barack Obama, and the one I finished before that, I can't remember. I'm a reader, so I like to read a lot, and I can't remember the one that I finished before that. I'm sure it might have been Kevin Hart's autobiography. I think the last movie I watched, I've been watching a lot of Netflix stuff recently, but the actual last movie that I remember watching was, what's the name of it now? Unhinged, with Russell Crowe, where he had
the Road Rage.
The Road Rage starts with Road Rage, and he's brilliant in it. And it's I watched it with my girlfriend, so I think of it as a romantic movie, and it's nothing of the kind. So don't watch that with your missus.
By the way, just so you know, I'm kind of looking like him weight-wise right now. So.
I don't think you're alone in that. Okay, Arthur, Stones or the Beatles?
The Beatles, my number one.
Yes, good man. Yeah,
Graeme? I still
the Beatles.
Yeah, that's what's all over my office here is my Beatles memorabilia as well. I love it. That's great. When I asked that of Colin Stewart, he said the Stones because he just didn't get the Beatles. Oh, look at that. Well done, Arthur. Yeah. Nice. For the folks that are listening to this, Arthur's taking us a wee tour of his office, and he has a bunch of
everything with the Beatles. I'm obsessed with the Beatles.
Excellent. So the very last one, I think I know the answer to this question based on the topic that we talked about before. If you could swim in any liquid, what would it be?
You could swim in any liquid?
Any liquid.
If you could swim in any liquid.
Any liquid at all.
I'm going to say Rangers Legends gin, but in reality it'd be salted caramel.
Something sweet. No, I think I will go for, I would say the Bacardi. I don't drink beer, so I normally go for the Bacardi, but for a change, I will go for Sambuca.
Oh, nice. Nice. Just as long as no one beats it. I love it. I love it. Okay, that's great. Thanks for indulging that wee part. It's just a wee bit of fun to get us towards the end here. So in terms of wrap up, now that 55 is in the bag and this elevates the club to new levels, new heightened levels in terms of international and domestic recognition, how do you see that helping the relationship between Five Stars and Rangers in terms of growth opportunity for both within the partnership?
I think at the moment, the partnership, considering we're in the middle of a pandemic, has done really well. And I think when that lifts, we'll really be able to get into it with events. There's a lot of other things on the table we're working at Five Stars with, and there's a couple of things we're looking at doing, and the club are looking at it as well, so which is great. I think when that lifts, we'll really be able to get in the meat and bones. But what 55 does is just puts a ridiculous amount of hysteria into everything that everyone's doing right now, and it's great. It's a fantastic time to be a Rangers fan, and I think with that kind of atmosphere and that kind of, that's what I'm looking for, environment, and then the fact that Five Stars, with everyone that's involved with Five Stars, and then now working with the club and a lot of their ideas, it's just a fantastic time to be a fan. So where are we going to go with everything with 55? Again, exactly where we're going to go in 14 months' time with NARSA. We're going to go big. We're certainly not going home. And Arthur will be leading the way with Kris Boyd.
Here we go. No, but it is brilliant because everyone is boosting, winning the league. So, and for us as well, with all the stuff we actually now have, the people that want to buy it as well, because it's like a keepsake. With former players and managers, what we just mentioned earlier on with the bottles, with events coming up, the people are desperate to get out of the door and hopefully to go to a Q&A, catching up with everybody, having a drink, having a laugh, and that is something what you miss. So we have a lot of stuff actually coming up, and hopefully in August, September we can start with Q&As again, and I'm 100% sure that people are actually moving to go.
Yeah, and the main thing, the main messaging, of course, is that every single product or every single thing you invest in from a Five Stars perspective has a material benefit for the club as well. It's not shameless self-promotion of an individual incorporated business or anything like that. This is all about the Rangers as well.
That is just that is a point. I don't think we've actually specifically touched on that, but I think we have. Sorry, apologies, but that is a big thing for us, for Arthur, for Kris, for myself, is that everything we're doing right now is benefiting, is going back to the club, and that's the icing on the cake, the cherry on the icing, whatever you want to call it. It's really good.
Perfect. So in terms of how anyone who's listening to this could reach out to Five Stars, and how can we find you? Where are you on social media?
Arthur's number is 00. We're on. We've got Five Stars on Instagram, Five Stars on Facebook, Five Stars on Twitter, and we have an app that you can download. It's a free app. There is a subscription section of it if you want to subscribe. It gets you content and exclusive competitions and stuff. But if you're not into that, then that's absolutely fine. You can download the app, and that will keep you up to date with our events and our products, our shop, our memorabilia. There's also a lovely little bar locator on there. I think it's got a lot of the American NARSA bars on there also. Wherever you are in the world, you can turn on the bar locator and it'll give you all the nearest bars, which is great. And it then has a directions button that if you hit it, takes you right to the bar. It's brilliant. So between the app, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, it's Five Stars. And of course, there's Arthur Numan's Instagram, which is just a treat to follow. It's a treat in the eyes.
I try to behave myself, Graeme. You told me to behave, so I did.
I love it. Gents, I truly can't thank you enough for taking the time to come on and talk to us about the journey to date and what the plans are for the future. I hope this is not the last time that we'll be able to do something like this and get some information out, especially when things open up and we get a bit more momentum on some of the things that we can actually make happen. So until that time, take care. Thanks again, and all the very best to you both.
All the best, Gary.
Thank you.